What's up gamers, DreamcastGuy here, talking today about Nioh 2, because this weekend I just could not stop playing it. They released this little demo thing that was called the Last Chance Trial, which was essentially the first full 2 hours of the game. It really gave us a chance to run around, level up, and most importantly, just get a chance to see how this sequel is going to operate. Now, the original Nioh was a very fun game. It was a brilliant mix of savage difficulty and some gorgeous Japanese mythology. And yet this new one, it already feels so much better. Now, this is a completely off-the-cuff video. It's just some random impressions, because I wasn't really planning on making this, but after being so blown away by the demo itself, I kind of feel like it's necessary to see what does and does not work. Let's start off with the very best part of the game itself, the monster design. Now, if you've ever played the first Nioh, these are like Samurai Dark Souls. They are action RPGs. They're games that are very, very punishing, and every single mistake can tear you apart. But more importantly, it gives you the tools to very accurately defend yourself. The biggest thing being that you have a high, medium, and low stance. You have a lot of different ways to try and tactically move around the battlefield and face some very smart enemies. So because of this, obviously the game designers made it where every foe you face was really devilish. These demonic things, they are very quick, and they're very good at trying to outmaneuver you. But these new demons, the new monsters they created for Nioh 2, this is an entirely new universe. I mean, these things are so freaking tough at times, but I also think that they have a lot more intricacies that allow you to enjoy it. Like, I want to give you a very specific example. A lot of the things in this demo have very specific weaknesses. When you first see it, it may seem like a completely impossible foe, like if you're going through a swampy area and a big huge snake with tatas comes up, that's going to be intimidating. You're like, oh my gosh lady, I don't want whatever you're selling. But when you start to fight her, you realize she has some very organized patterns. She tries to stun you with her sight and do a grip attack, but if you manage to constantly roll back and forth, you can get up behind her and do some really savage damage. But other enemies, they try and do things much more dynamically. So this is the specific example I want to drop on you, which is this lady here. This is based on the urban legend that goes on in Japan of the crying woman. She basically is carrying around like a dead baby, and if anybody tries to get near it, she'll eat you. Well, this one has a very creepy cry as she wanders around the map, and if you get too close, she will scream your head off. Like, that's really her magic ability. But if you want to be really brutal, you can shoot her baby with a bow, and it goes about as well as you might expect. It fully enrages her and completely changes the way she fights, making it where she's much more in your face and trying to rip you apart, but she actually has more opportunities for you to go in there and get her. You have more openings and more chances to do counter strikes. What's cool about this though is that every enemy kind of has this. Every enemy has multiple forms, a lot of them have multiple weaknesses, a lot of them have a very specific way that if you fight smart, you can take them down. Even the little tiny minions that seem almost irrelevant, if you're not careful, they'll drink your blood and power themselves up and just make yourself have a very bad day. What I like about Nioh 2 that just struck me like a freight train is that you really have more chances to out-trick the game. Even big bosses at times have a certain weakness. So when you first see them, of course they seem like this impenetrable wall of flesh, something that you can't possibly get past. But as you watch them, as you start to learn their movements, you slowly realize that literally everything in this game can possibly be beaten at level 1. Now, something else about this that's very different is we're no longer playing as William. In the first game, we were playing as a real guy, an actual samurai that there's a lot of legends about. Well, this time, we're playing as a custom character. Now, because of that, of course, you get a chance to choose your face, your looks, how you're going to go into your super mode. But more importantly, you have a lot of chances to customize your stats, your specialities, and most keen, the weaponry. What you're going to be using the most. There is loads of stuff to swipe with. There's multiple kinds of swords, from heavy dai katanas all the way down to little tiny blades that'll just chop people up with quick attacks, or huge hammers or massive heavy axes. And all of them operate in totally unique styles. I like this though because it makes it where, as I was wandering around in this map, I killed a lot of demons. I spent a lot of hours in this demo just kind of exploring it and leveling up. And while I was doing it, I kept just going around and chopping people up and finding like little hidden treasure chests. There's lots of little like side passages or little things where it looks like you're supposed to go to the left, and if you go to the right, you'll actually discover a giant secret. One of the weird secrets I found that was really cool is at one point I found this hidden hallway that when I went all the way down to the dead end, there was a hot spring that would warm my character up and give me a healing effect. There's so many hidden secrets, but really what's cool is you keep finding hidden gear, enchanted armors, and special abilities that make it where you can fight even bigger and even better. A lot of these weapons have been tweaked and changed, so even if you played the original Nioh and you already have like a favorite style of combat, this stuff may look and feel a little bit different. I like the fact that certain combos have been sped up, or some moves have given extra additional ways to try and bash people back. But the thing that was definitely the coolest was the magic. Demon spells. It seems like, so a lot of times you'll run into like these mini bosses just roaming across the map. Some of these are optional, some of them are mandatory, but when you defeat them, it basically says like you've unlocked their soul, and when you get it, these can be equipped like the rest of your gear as like a special supplementary thing, and it gives you abilities like a stun effect or a damage ability that does just a little bit of damage to everybody standing near you, or something like being able to throw a demonic spear. They're definitely things that feel supplemental, and I like the fact that they feel very, very separate. I like that if I didn't want to use this stuff, I could probably beat the game without using a single piece of this demon magic, but I made it where as I practiced it, I definitely got better than I ever was in Nioh 1. There is something I really feel like is the most important though, and the whole reason I'm making this video, to be quite honest, which is the difficulty. I want to talk about how this game, to me definitely, it feels easier than Nioh 1. Now of course this is just my personal outlook as somebody who's beaten Nioh 1, all the Dark Souls, Demon Souls, Sekiro. I play a lot of these style of like slow, methodical, really hardcore action RPGs. So maybe it's just that I'm more practiced and so it feels easier. But to me, it's not a huge step. I'm not saying that this game is going to be simplistic. People are definitely still going to be dying and struggling, but they've given us so many extra tools to fight these smart enemies that at times I definitely found myself breezing through things that would have killed me in Nioh 1. I do have a slight worry that the game itself may be just a little bit too easy in certain parts. There's just not that little personal fear from the tiny encounters anymore. And I think this may be because they actually did like a closed beta a couple months ago, and apparently a lot of people found the game to be way too difficult, and the feedback from fans and people like games journalists is make this a little bit more streamlined and maybe reduce the health. I want this game to be hard and of course at once beatable. I don't think that this is a bad thing though. It just sort of feels like an accessibility thing. There's other things that I think are nice, like you can do a thing like summon allies. Whenever you want, if you see these blue souls, you can choose to summon up an NPC helper to try and help you with like a fight nearby. Or if you're stuck in a particular skirmish, you can summon up one of these little ghostly spirits to try and help you out. You can also do things like open up online play and let other players randomly join into your world. It basically summons them and they'll fight with you for a bit. But this doesn't make it an instant win. I know that some people kind of laugh whenever people do co-op Dark Souls, but I've always liked that. And this, it actually feels like it streamlines stuff a bit, but it's definitely not easy mode. Even when I'm trying to go against a boss, if I have one of these minions with me, it's not just automatic victory. A lot of times people are still dying, they're still getting shredded, things here are still going to slam you into the freaking freaking dirt. But I like that there's that option of if you want to try and make things just 5% more simple, if you want to try and have that little extra advantage, I'm glad that that choice exists. Nioh 2 seems like it's trying to base itself around giving you more abilities, more ways to try and fight back, and more ways to try and just decimate these demonic hordes. I'm definitely going to be playing the full game, and I want to do like a big review on it. When the game actually comes out, this is obviously just the first 2 hours, it's a little tiny tasty demo, but when the real game comes out, I definitely am going to beat it and try and just recap what is so good. I already think the map design is improved, I'm so impressed by the new updated visuals, and the art has taken a big step up. Nioh 2 looks like it is just going to upgrade everything I have ever loved about Nioh 1, which is kind of exactly what a sequel should be. But let's see what the rest of the game is like. It's coming out here in like 2 weeks, and I'm definitely going to be picking it up, so if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, subscribe if you haven't already, and well, check out the full review coming up in a bit. Thanks so much for watching, gamers. Do me a giant favor and keep dreaming. I edited out a lot of my deaths, but I didn't die as much as I normally do. A lot of times when I'm doing these like Dark Souls genre games, I will die hundreds of times. This one though, I think I only died maybe 7 or 8 times total, which to me is pretty low. Thanks so much for watching that video. If you want to see something else, you can always click this link to see what I put up last, or, you know, subscribe and see what's coming up next. Also, I promise that whatever I do, it'll try not to suck.